would you like us to say?
Right here's
Okay.
what to say.
Glenn called me, and I thought, when I answered the phone, I said, I'm here. And he goes, I'm gonna be a couple minutes late. And I said, well, you gotta find parking space too, so.
Yeah, it's busy
Oh,
out
it's
there.
bingo day.
Oh, that's
I
why.
figured
You
so.
said
Yeah.
that.
You should charge for parking.
We thought of that.
$2 an hour.
We beat that out.
Yeah.
We sure did. Trying to figure out how to make some money off that.
And just so you know, we're about 4, I might get phone call.
Okay.
Right back in. I have it on vibrate.
Printed copies. I apologize. I realized I didn't actually send this, so.
I know, I thought of that this morning. Uh-oh.
I saw your email. I was like, I didn't see that. This has,
Thank you.
and I printed these off really quick, so they're not very professional looking. But the amortization is on the first page, a comparison on the second page, and then the third page just gives you what the savings is. So.
And do you have an extra copy that you could give them to
Yeah.
take a look at?
I have plenty of copies. They can
Okay.
use.
Did you say one for Glenn?
Yeah.
I got
yeah,
one for
yeah.
next week.
When I saw the stack, I thought.
There's another.
Yeah, I knew it was cutting it close, but then when you get up here and see the parking lot full, it's like, all right.
I almost missed my job interview here because of bingo.
Oh, really?
I was driving around 25 minutes trying to find a place to park.
Probably doesn't look good if you're towed on your job.
Yeah, exactly.
What if it's not bingo, people walk into the building next door?
Yes,
Oh,
and I
thank
did
you for
that
that,
too,
yeah.
until I walked in and I saw the big dog, and I was like, oh, this is not the village of Greenville. I have a big dog laying in the floor.
So you had let Mike know about that, Trevor?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Did you already have resolutions?
I have, yeah, I have it somewhere.
I brought one of them.
Okay.
If you need it or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that I have it
We
somewhere.
actually didn't think to print it off for this meeting. So you have to check in your copies.
I don't know, I mean, I don't, what do you think? You think everybody needs to review this?
That's another use of a copy of the receipt on that.
We've already approved it, so.
Well, this is a different one, but
Oh.
it's the same format.
Okay.
Different
Format,
font.
Different font.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I want to help.
This is the O2.
Let me write down, make some copies.
Okay.
Are you sure you want me to?
Yeah,
do that?
no,
Okay.
sure. I'll write that.
This is the O2 series.
Okay.
So that one's organized, this one's next.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I may have told you wrong when we talked last. The 770 includes the payment, so the next payment's due December 1st on there. So this is including the payment due on December 1st.
Oh, okay,
So it's 770 instead of the 715.
okay. Okay.
There's actually a little more savings than I thought it would be.
I like that.
It's the same terms as the first one?
Well, everything's a little bit different because we're matching it to maintain the same expiration or maturity. So this will actually be roughly 10.5 years. Your payment for 2012 is still due, so we're setting up semi-annual. So the first payment will be due December 1st, and then there'll be 20 payments after that semi-annual through December 1st, 2022. So that way we maintain the same maturity. The rate is 2.5, which is a little bit higher, but it's because it's a longer term.
What was the rate on the first one?
2.1. But if we save,
It's so much better than
Well, and that's why I was surprised, because on the first two, it was 985 together, and I think
Here's the average.
we
of
saved
where
you.
we're at right now on the one.
Yeah, I think we saved you about 130 on the first two, and on this one alone, it's 137, almost 138.
That's good.
And the nice thing is that the way it falls out, breaks out, is that you have a full annual payment due this year,
Mhm.
but you'll actually only make half of that payment
So
the
we're
way it's
seeing
amortized out. So you'll see,
significant
yeah, you'll see
savings.
like $40,000 savings for year
Right.
one.
There we go.
And it is broke out on there, but then you'll see just like, it varies, anywhere from like 6 to 11 or 12,000 a year after that.
What else can we refinance?
We're
It's working.
This one and this one, yeah, we're working on it.
We've got a few more years on the other one, but then.
Yeah.
Jeff, are we still paying, what, 35,000 a year on the pumper truck or the ladder truck?
I don't know.
I think that our lease, I don't know, I don't wanna answer that question without looking. There's a lease that falls off next year, but I can't remember if that's the one. We have 3 lease payments that we're making. But I can't remember off the top of my
Yeah, I thought
head.
it was maybe until 2015.
Okay.
But it could be.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, I just don't wanna say for sure.
Also, I did ask about that 18,000
Mhm.
question, and
That's your fifth or
cover
sixth, right?
that with you a little bit later if you want.
Well, I was gonna ask, that was one of my questions. I asked to be put on the agenda
did lease on
tonight.
the-
Right, but also
Back
his
to-
response was, could you
and
send
all
it in
the-
advance?
I'm not required to send
Right.
it.
And we're not also, we're not required to
Call it.
entertain questions either.
Oh, okay.
I think it was the
All
body,
right.
like they
Well, I
body
mean,
off.
I mean,
but-
legitimately,
Put it on a different one
not,
then
not being
next
smart.
So I didn't know if it was. I couldn't
Well,
remember
when
if
you
it was
ask
the
to
frame
be
or the
put
actual-
on the agenda to ask questions, I think.
I don't think Glenn's request was out of line at all.
I'll watch your video later.
Okay.
I have 3 extra copies. Do you want them for anybody else? Oh, it's 50,000 this year.
Yeah, 50,000 savings, 50,000. We need to. Did you see we got some for sale signs up yet?
Yes, I know, that's a good step in the right direction. Now we need some good buying types.
So how's things going at PNC?
Pretty good.
Good.
Do you travel around quite a bit doing this kind of thing, or?
A little bit, I mean, mainly just around town, but yeah.
Okay.
Typically, I'm in northern Cincinnati, but I always cover this area as well, so. Just depends, like I was in Mason this morning, and then Liberty Township was in here, so. And then there's some days that I'm just in the office all day, so those aren't as fun.
Yeah.
I like being
You
able to get out and
guys
about.
work in tandem, or?
I'm not on the
I'm
board.
sorry, I
Hi,
didn't.
I'm
I'm
Jeff.
the
Introduce
mortgage
you.
manager,
Oh,
yes.
Or you just along for the ride?
Yes.
You're.
I brought her out.
I'm the local face.
She's who gets to see me when I'm upset about
Yeah.
something, unfortunately.
That's okay.
Speaking of which, we found out that there is a way, did I tell you this?
What?
Well, the one key thing we couldn't figure out is that whenever they had a return item on the mayor
Yes.
account,
Way down.
it went to the
That's the table.
operating account.
Yes,
Or
yes.
And then it
Right.
stopped.
Is it a table or
And we
a
couldn't
stand?
figure out how to fix it, and nobody had a clue.
You know, like
So I kept
saying
calling people,
earthquake
calling people,
under
all right,
table,
there's gotta
this
be
would
ways.
the
I got
window
a
under.
somebody downtown,
Yeah.
and she's like, no. And, she's like, here, call this person, the TM. So I called this person, she's like, no, I don't know I don't know anything about that. And then I must have said something that triggered her memory. She's like, wait a second, she's like, call the return department in Philadelphia. So I called them, like, oh yeah, sure, there's a, Lowe's Notes form.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, just
So
a
ever
simple
since
Lowe's Notes
that,
form.
then it's all worked correctly,
Well, I'm
hasn't
hoping,
it?
I don't know if we've had an
Yeah, no,
instance
she
to find
hasn't
out.
had to call about anything.
'Cause that was probably, when was that, like just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we finally, the return.
I wasn't listening, I'm sorry.
No, about the return, getting the return issue fixed on the.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
To make sure that it was coming from the right
So, I mean,
one.
have you had any
So-
instances?
No, I mean,
Yet,
I haven't had any examples to know, but yeah, I'm so excited that
Yes,
it's working.
good.
That makes my life so much easier.
Sorry, folks.
No problem.
There we go.
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
I was so
Where am I
right
sitting?
there. I was so paranoid that you were in here waiting for me and I was 2 minutes late.
The unpredictability of traffic. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order at 3:10. And, I'm gonna change the batting order here just a tiny bit. Let's just go ahead and do the bond refinancing first, and you guys are more than welcome to stay. It's a public meeting. Anybody who would like to be here can be here. However, if you wanna leave, it's a really nice day out. We have a great community. We have a park that's 2,500 acres, right, that surrounds us, and so if you wanna enjoy that or whatever else your employer wants you to do, it's cool with us.
Yeah. Should have brought a change of clothes.
So, turn it over to you guys and just
Okay.
kind of talk us through the,
All right, the first thing here, is just a term sheet that I put together just to kind of give you a quick outline, gives you the payment breakout. So the note's $770,000. The first payment would be due December 1st, which would replace your payment due at the end of the year, so you wouldn't have any payment due to RBC. And then,
so the first payment would be due December 1st?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And typically, we're making a payment in December to
Yeah.
RBC now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the nice thing is that that's typically when you'd make your annual payment. The way this would amortize out, we would match the existing term, which your final payment is December 1st, 2022. So what'll happen is that there's 3 sheets stapled together there that has the amortization on the front, the set underneath that one. This will give you a breakout of the payments. And then on the last page, you'll see the actual annual savings breakout. So year 1, you're gonna have the biggest savings because in essence, you're making half the payment. And then you'll have smaller savings throughout the remaining 20 payments. So, which is nice to get your biggest savings up front. So interest rate's 2.5%. So it's a little bit, 2.1 is what we did for the other 2 bonds. This one's a little higher, obviously, because the term's longer.
We're currently at 4 point something, 4.7, I
Right.
think. So
Yeah.
it's a good savings.
Yeah, the true interest rate shows 4.7463. So matching, like I said, matching the current term, so we're not extending it out anymore.
Right.
So everything
You know how I
should
feel
line up
about
perfect.
that.
Make sure it's all lined up, semi-annual payments. And like I said, you have the full amortization breakout here. I did a second page, I did a comparison between current payments and the proposed payments. And then on the back, you have the annual breakout and then the total savings, which is almost 138,000.
Right. And Kim and Yvonne, you're both comfortable with going from annual to semi-annual from a cash flow standpoint?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what about, are there any fees on the front side?
No.
They're all built into that rate, correct?
In essence, yeah. I mean, there's no upfront loan fee or anything from the bank. The only fees, same as before, will be with Peg Schaefer. And I believe it was either $2,500 or $2,750 is what they quoted for the remaining bond.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mrs.
If you guys had big questions or concerns, I think I would
We
already
would know
hear them,
about it.
but yeah. Did you talk to anybody outside, either Peck Schaefer or Wood Lamping or anything on this? Any concerns with either of those folks?
No, wooden lamping will be the legislation. I have
Okay.
no problem with that. And I guess way back even before the previous bond, we had conversations with people who currently hold our bond and had some understanding of what was going on, and so we're okay with this.
Yep.
How about you, Jeff?
No comment.
Good deal. It looks good. I think the recommendation of the Finance and Audit Committee will be to recommend council move forward with refinancing the debt, so looks good. Appreciate your work, appreciate you holding true to the tenets that we look for, and then, you know, laying it out clean for us. So, good deal.
Thanks. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Nice to see you too.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
So I guess we'll let you get on with all the fun stuff, right?
Is this when the party hats come out?
No,
Yeah.
because we really don't feel like we have 50,000 extra to spend,
Yeah.
not in this budget season. So, that's good.
Still should make you feel a little warm,
Oh,
though, right?
yeah.
Yes, it does. You know, quite frankly, it is important. You guys know what's going on with local budgets. We don't see more money flowing to the village from local government fund. We don't see it more from property taxes. We don't see it more from the state. We don't, you know, we know the inheritance tax is going away. And, you know, we couldn't refinance this any sooner than what we have. So, we were waiting for this day to come so we could do it and, you know, save the taxpayers some money and give us, try to have some, you know, headroom in our budget to work. So this is very helpful. So thank you. Appreciate
Party
it.
killer.
Yeah.
All right, well, if there's any
Thanks,
questions
Leo.
about it, just call me.
All right, thanks.
Have a
Good
good day.
Thanks.
It'd be really cool if we could do this every year.
I know.
What limits it? When can you actually do it? Like on the other ones that are coming?
I don't know. Chip is really good about keeping an eye on them and letting me know, but I haven't
Okay.
I think it's
talked
a
to
few
him about
years
the.
before we have any more coming up.
Yeah, because we have
Okay.
the 05 is the next one, but yeah, I do think it's a couple of years at least. But Chip, I typically depend on him to give me the heads up, you know, that we're able to refinance that.
And you know, when we were at a 4.7% rate in the rate environment that was done, that was considered a great
Mhm.
rate.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
the definition of a great rate changes, obviously, so.
yes, it does.
July financial report.
You wanna look at that? Okay.
Are these the identical numbers that we got previously?
Are they? Yes, I think that they are. Now, here's the catch, though, that I want to explain. What I did, and this is a report that I hand generate,
Right.
and this is a report from our accounting software.
Yep.
You will see that there is going to be a difference of $996,351.91. I took that out of this report because that is the bond refinance. So basically, $996,000 came in to pay off our original debtor, which is the Bank of New York Mellon.
Yep.
So we had receipt for $996, and then I had to do a payment going out for $996,000, which totally skewed our report.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that, cause I was concerned that we'd get a report for a one-time, non-recurring
Yeah.
event that, you know,
Yeah.
for the next year and the next 12 months, so.
Yeah. So I took it out of there. So these numbers that you're looking at are without that. I've already subtracted that out, so that this is the actual information, you know, that we wanna be looking at and analyzing here. So, with that said, okay, so for all funds, for the month of July, I mean, it looks, you know, like we're a little bit down. However, I keep saying, you know, that I feel like it'll balance itself out, over the next month or so. I can already tell you that, you know, by the end of the August reports, we're going to be looking much better.
On the revenue side?
Yeah, one
Okay.
thing that I noticed was that the, year-to-date this year, our receipts over expenditures look about, you know, 300,000 less than they did the previous year, but I can tell you that is because our property taxes came in last year in the end of July, and this year they came in the beginning of August.
Okay.
So by the end of August, when you get your monthly financial reports, by the early September, when you get your August financial reports, that will have all balanced out, and that will be looking much better. So that is just a timing issue there. And then, let's see, general fund, I mean, I still think that we're looking good there. Our year-to-date receipts over expenditures are higher this year than they were last year. So I think that's still showing, you know, that we're cutting expenses and increasing revenues as much as we possibly can there.
Hold on that, it
Sure.
looks like on general fund expenditures, this year to date, we're at 935, last year we were at 878.
Mhm.
So it looks like we spent about 60,000 more than last year.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer right now as to why that is. The only thing that Yvonne and I were quickly talking about earlier is that it again is probably timing. We probably paid some things earlier this year that last year we didn't pay until later. So again, I think that by the time, you know, the end of August monthly reports come out, I think that this is all gonna balance out and,
Okay.
you know, and look much better. I
Okay.
think it's just timing.
Okay.
Income taxes, down at the bottom, I know that can, you know, first glance, that can look a little bit discouraging because it looks like we're down 22,000 compared to where we were last year. But I can tell you that I'm feeling really positive because, we know that Rita is still processing, first quarter tax payments. And so if that's how good we look without first quarter tax, you know, there are still first quarter tax payments to be sent to us, then I think, you know, we're gonna be looking really good. So I'm still feeling positive about that.
When you say they're still processing first quarter stuff, does that mean that there's a stack of stuff on somebody's desk that's first quarter and we don't have
Well,
the money yet, or?
What we found that we didn't know before that I think we found recently is that the way that Rita works is, instead of mail, so when a person files their 2011 final return, they could have sent a blank form with just their signature and made copies of their W-2s up to Rita as their 2011 final return and requested that Rita do that calculation for them and then turn around and send them a bill. Well, what we didn't know is that Rita doesn't actually send out first quarter bills during first quarter. They send out their first quarter bills during their second quarter billing cycle. And so, you know, so again, we're back to timing. So we're back to the fact that some of these people could just now recently be getting a bill for their first quarter estimated payments. And so, you know, again, it's timing. Once we get all caught up here, I think that, you know, I'm really surprised that, you know, we're looking as good as we do if we still have those bills, those payments coming in.
But there aren't checks, Kim checked on that. There aren't
Yeah.
checks sitting on people's desks. They process those immediately. It's
Okay,
the
yeah.
all right,
ones
that's
that-
why I was a little
Yeah,
concerned.
And to explain the way, I learned a lot about how they operate in the last couple of weeks, but what they do is when they open the mail, if there are any payments in the mail that they open, those are processed first. If there's a balance showing due and that form has already been completed, those are processed second. The ones that are left blank are processed third, so they kind of go into priority stacks. And so, the ones, that were kind of left blank, that's the ones where, we should be seeing their first quarter estimated payments coming in here shortly, because they're just now getting a bill for that.
When they bill them for the first quarter estimated and it happens in the second quarter, do they bill them for the second quarter at the same time?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And then typically, when would those second quarters be due?
Well, they put on there a date. That was another kind of an issue that we talked about, because I think that they sent them out to be due August 17th, and people were calling saying, that they had just gotten them, they only had like 7 days, they were going on vacation. So ideally, I think that they put a due date of August 17th, however, I don't know that they will actually get those payments by August 17th. I think that people were wanting a longer amount of time to make that payment, so hopefully by the end of August, they should have gotten those payments in.
Okay, and where's Rita physically located?
Their office, is it Youngstown?
Yeah, there's two, one in Youngstown, one in Dublin.
They're trying, as far as I understand though, they're trying to establish something here closer in the
Southwest.
tri-state area.
Well, I can think of a building
Yeah.
real close.
Yeah.
That would be great for
Yeah.
them.
From what I understand, they have the need to actually have a physical location here, and they're working on doing that, on setting that up, so.
Great, good, appreciate you pulling the 996 out, because that was just gonna be
Yeah,
confusion.
yeah, I thought so.
And you're just gonna leave it out the rest of the year on the year-to-date stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
On the fund summary page, is there anything you wanna point out to us, or anything that anybody wants to ask about?
We're just curious about the golf course compared to last year. Revenues at 12,516, correctly?
Well,
That's pretty good.
yeah.
With as well.
Well,
yeah, I mean-
Well,
Well,
yeah,
okay.
because I think
But-
our starting balance
Yeah,
actually
there-
had a transfer from last year.
Yeah,
so
we
it-
did, when we started out the golf, we had a transfer balance from last year, like Yvonne said, so, and if I remember correctly, it was roughly $7,000 that we transferred from the general fund in order to have some cash there to get it up and to get it running. And so, that 7,000 continues to carry forward in that balance that you see there.
Okay.
So, don't jump for joy just yet.
I wasn't,
Okay.
I've learned not to. And then, the swimming pool, again, tracking compared to past.
Yeah, 99,000 at this point. It's probably pretty
The
good.
pool did well, yeah,
Yeah.
the pool did, the hot summer did.
Hot July was good for the
Yeah,
pool
we have a
rev.
couple of hot weekend, well, we know we have this weekend supposed to be really hot.
Yeah.
Which
We'll
was
hope
nice.
Labor Day is, because I
Yeah.
think Labor Day last year.
I
it
did
was
send-
cold and rainy actually on Labor Day, if I remember right.
Yeah. I did send out the one call, the first one didn't
Yeah,
have anything about the
okay.
time frame.
All right.
The next week's one, yeah, different.
So right now, when you match rev and expenses, it's a $1,400 loser right now,
Mhm.
which I think is good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the numbers from last year, but I feel really sure that it was worse last year. I
It
just
was
can't
too,
remember
yeah.
the numbers
I don't remember it
offhand.
right off either, but I do remember it.
Yeah.
On the, is there any fund that you wanna call attention to, like, where we're struggling here, or?
No, there's not, I mean, nothing that we haven't already, previously talked about,
Okay.
no, nothing.
It looks like the banquet hall, I know there's only $350 of revenue for the month, which is kinda sad for a month where there's usually a lot of brides strolling down the aisle. But hopefully we'll start to see some revenue.
We've
Yeah.
already started paying monthly rent,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
hopefully between that and.
How are they booked, do you know if?
No, I don't know, but I
Okay.
have a meeting coming up with them, I think there's that, so that I know that they already, they had a July wedding, what do they call their expos, and
Mhm.
they were promoting it
Okay.
already, so that's, exciting. I'm gonna keep to that. Kim, one, maybe they might notice the police operating, that one was because of the property tax delay too.
Yeah.
The $8,000 deficit in,
Yeah.
When she said we got our
unencumbered.
tax money
Yeah.
later than usual, that's what caused that.
Yeah, we got it in August, so, and actually, so we received roughly 200,000, I can't remember the exact number, in police operating in the first week of August, which was, actually a couple $1,000s more than what we expected to get into that fund. So I was happy with that, because I was really starting to be afraid that we were actually gonna get less than what we expected. So to get slightly more than what we expected was a really good sign there. So the police operating fund, again, in the August reports, it'll be looking much better.
The swimming pool has a negative unencumbered fund balance too. Is that because of a transfer from the general fund at the start?
I don't, I'm trying to remember if I don't think I've transferred anything yet to the pool this year. But we're gonna need to do that, basically, is what that negative is saying. I think that at this point, we've been making our monthly payments to SwimSafe from the pool fund, from pool revenues with
Okay.
no problem, but I think now we're out. You know what I mean? So now
Sure.
we're gonna have to transfer
Okay.
some money from general fund
All
to
right.
get through the remainder.
And did we budget additional dollars?
For transfers to the pool, yes, we
Okay.
did, we had that, along with several other funds that we may need to transfer money to, but yeah, that's budgeted and planned for. And
Right.
we did get some really, I just wanted to add, we got some really positive feedback about SwimSafe. I heard, that Deb came in, was telling me that, a lot of the residents were coming up saying, what a wonderful job SwimSafe was doing and how great the pool looked, and
Okay.
it was really positive feedback from
Yeah.
what I heard.
The only negative I've heard was there was a problem with the snacks.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was
That wasn't
early on,
SwimSafe.
and it wasn't SwimSafe.
Right.
I just bring it up because it's
Right.
something that Recreation or somebody else
It
has
was,
to fix.
Yeah.
wasn't that run by the Gators?
Yeah.
And they even admitted it.
And they
that-
did have
yeah.
an electrical problem to where wasn't their refrigerator not working, and so all of
Yeah,
their
that's an issue
snacks
early
were
on.
melting, and,
That's
yeah. So
But
there
it
was
seemed
a-
like towards the end they got
Yeah.
their act together, and if you remember, they were thinking they might only do it for 1 month, and they ended up doing it for the whole time, so
Yeah.
hopefully it worked out well for them.
At some point, we might wanna talk, what's our fallback
Yeah.
position if that
Right.
doesn't get
Well,
better?
right, our fallback position was SwimSafe, they quoted
Okay.
us if we needed
Okay.
them to pick it up.
Okay.
Just a couple of funds that I want to call out: the construction maintenance and repair for streets. We've got currently we've got a balance of $204,000 in that. We know we're going to have a big expenditure with the repaving projects. We're good cash flow wise. Everybody's
Yes.
comfortable there. Okay. And then the other one we have was the shade tree maintenance fund. We've got 52,000. And I don't want to spend money to be spending money, but ongoing maintenance in that of the trees and replacement of trees that have already been taken down. We're on target with our spending budget on that.
We are, as a matter of fact, I'm sure next month it will show more expenditures, because we had a lot taken down during August, and we are just about to go out to bid for removals that, again, will be half and half with grant money, so
Right.
that's helping us to stretch our money a little further. But all that will occur probably before the end of the year.
Okay, do we have any plantings that are going on yet this year?
Yes, we will.
That's, I don't have fund summaries or
Well,
whatever.
I have a question, and pardon me if it's, I don't know. When we have, like you had explained, the $7,000 transfer into golf, how do we know what's got that jump start and where, how that works out with our starting fund balance? How much?
Well, I mean, it's a I did it as a transfer, which means that it would not be paid back. We have the option of doing an advance if we wanted to, so that when we earn enough money, we could turn around and pay it back. However, it has been my experience that the golf course doesn't actually earn enough money to ever pay back in advance, and so I just did a transfer. So, and I think too, at this point, I mean, we still have bills that need to be paid for the golf course. So I would say, by the end of the season and by the time we close down, we're not going to see that balance there
Sure.
anymore. We're gonna have to make but there's no real, reporting. There's nothing that jumps out in reporting to tell you this is a
Okay.
$7,000 transfer. There's no way to really put that in the reports.
Okay.
But I don't know, historically, the village has transferred to golf, to the swimming pool, and to the debt service.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I guess my question is to know actually what we're working with, and if something's been supplemented, in that case, it would be helpful to know.
If you wanted to know that, you could ask me for the ledgers, which is like the detail, and that would show,
Okay.
that at some point there was a $7,000 transfer from general fund, and then it would show each day, how much money the golf course earned. And
Right, I guess what I'm looking for is what is being propped up, and the golf course is being
Right,
propped
and
up.
I'm thinking too, the appropriation is where we identify.
I was gonna say, the other way is to look at the
Yeah.
appropriation and see what we
So-
transferred into the various funds.
Right.
Yeah,
And if
Yeah.
it's not there, we don't have that kind of
we always
money into
allow
it,
for
so.
transfers to the golf course,
Mhm.
pool, apartments, and debt.
Mhm.
And then I guess another tax question. When people defer, they get an extension, how does that figure into what we're doing? Or it just gets recorded as it flows in?
Yeah,
Okay.
it gets reported
Like-
when it's paid. And that was kind of a question I had, is there, for Rita, is there any way to know at this point how much money we can be expecting for first quarter?
Even a ballpark kind
Yeah,
of thing?
and
They won't go
yeah,
there.
it would just,
Okay.
yeah, I guess it wasn't possible to give me any kind of an accurate estimate, so.
Okay.
What about on the property tax side? Is there any report or any information we can request from Hamilton County to say how much property tax is in arrears in Green Hills right now? Because, let's say, for example, there's $100,000 of property taxes owed in Green Hills that haven't been paid. And we know of one commercial situation where there's taxes that have not been paid. Let's, for conversation's sake, say it was $100,000. Roughly 27 cents out of every dollar comes to Green Hills. A little less than that goes to the county, and roughly half goes to the school district. So we have, if there's $100,000 sitting out there, we have a receivable of $27,000 that we'll get paid eventually. It always gets paid. We don't know who pays it. It might be the next owner of the building, it might be whatever, but, so it might be helpful to know that, and if we know it, I'm not sure totally how we would react to it. Would we go, we got this money coming, or, probably not. It'd be, my initial reaction would be, boy, it could be a long time till we get this money.
I can ask Tammy at the auditor's office
Yeah,
and see if
and-
there's any way to come up with an estimate.
And I guess, long-term, I'd like to know that number, to see if it's rising or contracting. Anybody have anything else on the financial report? assessments.
Okay, draft on this.
Thank you.
Okay, what we're doing here, these are the assessments that will go down to the county. These are the properties that we've been cutting grass on this summer. And, this has to be down to the county by the second week in September, I believe. So this would be on your September agenda. Just to note, it would be as an emergency, but we continue to cut the grass. So what we're trying to do is get as much of the dollar amount into this round, to be assessed in September. Otherwise, it'll have to fall into next year. But the amount is $1,375, and this authorizes the county to go ahead and put those expenses on those properties.
And then what's our policy as far as touching base with them? I know you've probably done it multiple times and,
The property owners?
yeah,
Oh, right, they receive notifications. These particular properties, there's never a response, so,
okay,
usually shakes out. Actually, for the number that we do actually violate this, which, I have to get that information out from NIC, but even in the past, a good number of people do end up cutting their grass.
good.
But these tended to be over and over again that we had to keep dealing with, so.
Yeah, I see 18 Alona Drive listed twice, and the first is 185, the second is 98. Is my assumption that the first one is 2 cuts in a month, and then?
It could be, I could look it up, but I know we also had some instances where by the time we get somebody out there the first time, remember, it started growing really fast this year, that first cut takes a little bit longer. We also had one, it might have been this one, where there was a lot of debris that they had to remove as well, in addition to the grass cutting.
Okay.
So, it'll vary a little bit each time they show up with what they have to do. We actually hired a contractor to do it, which is a real clean way for us to do that. It's not our lawn cutter, it's, was a different one, but he was very thorough. We got actually resident neighbors who would call and say, wow, they did a great job, and that's how I remember the one with the garbage. There was a lot of litter and stuff mixed in, but they picked all that up before they cut it, and they came away with a good product.
And then the Fannie Mae, is that our only,
Yes, they own the property.
okay,
So it's a piece of foreclosed property, most likely.
Right,
and-
but it'll be there if somebody in the future,
Right.
once it's on the lien, hopefully somebody will pay it. It's no guarantee, but it's probably our best guarantee that we
Right.
get some of these
Yeah, so if
funds.
Mr. and Mrs.
Reimbursed.
Williams doesn't respond, we end up with a lien on it,
Right.
and if they wanna sell the property, most likely somebody's gonna pay it at that time.
Mhm.
and does that accrue interest at all, or not?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think, I think,
These do.
I think the assessments are part of that. Do you?
No, my recollection is there's no accrual of interest.
Just asking,
Great question.
cause it sounds like it could be years before you see that money, so.
Yeah, but I like the message that it sends us, that we're not cutting it
Just, yeah.
because you won't,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we'd be at about 1,500 cuts a month.
right,
Mhm.
right.
Okay, so is it the committee's consensus that we recommend to adopt the ordinance, and we'll recommend that to council?
So,
Okay. Surplus property.
Okay, we are putting together a list of items that we would like to go ahead and do another round of surplus property. We use the Hamilton County surplus property auction site for that. And the one big item that we have right now is we do have an old police vehicle, a Crown Victoria, that we would like to put on there. So that's the item I have at this point in time. By the time council comes around, we will hope to have maybe 1 or 2 additional items. We're assessing a truck over at the service garage and miscellaneous small things that may fall under there for us to get rid of. Okay?
That sounds good.
Didn't make-
When we get
make
rid of
some
something,
money.
it is tired.
Yeah,
I know
you better
it
believe
is.
it.
The, the backhoe that we had that was, exchanged, or was given back to the dealer when we bought the new one a few years ago. I wasn't involved with the transaction at all. I wanted to be arm's length. I happen to know the manager of the company that we bought the backhoe from, and it was through state bid, so we got the state minimum bid price. It wasn't like he could cut us a break or do anything, but I still said, ain't going there. And so I said to him, I said, Gary, I said, what did you think of that backhoe? Did you like that bad boy? He said, I couldn't sell it in the United States. He went to Mexico. He said, there's no way to sell it in the United States. It was not.
Of course, scrap metal may be worth more than.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He said that's where, he said it went on a rail car probably the next day, and adios, out of the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now they'll have a police car to go with it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Great agreement.
Okay, and actually, I think I mentioned this to you a couple months ago, and just now getting around to doing this, and I apologize for that, but we have a couple of individuals who are employees in one area, and we've utilized them in another area as well, and we need to differentiate their two rate agreements. One is Tom Hendricks, who is a full-time service employee, has worked some hours at Spoils. So we did a similar thing with Mike Castor, who works too. That way they're not being paid overtime at their service department rate. They're
Which
being
is typically
at a
higher.
lower rate. Right,
Right.
definitely higher. The second one is Kelly Krebs, who has worked at the golf. She was our manager at the golf course this year, and she's worked some hours at Spoils. So we would like to do similar agreements for both of them, retroactive to April.
And tell me more about explain the agreement. You're basically saying that.
Yeah, and I can show you an example that we've used, because again, we did this with Mike Castor, where they're paid for their primary job one specific rate,
Okay.
but they may work hours
Against
in another area at another rate.
And
I
it
think in
just
both
makes it
cases, it's probably
legally
minimum
clear.
wage. Right,
Okay.
we're just clarifying
Okay.
why we are paying them, especially when it comes to overtime,
Sure.
that why are they not getting
And
their
that doesn't
full
look
rate?
like, and so that it makes it clear we're not skirting that
Correct.
overtime issue. Okay.
Correct.
Wage and hour suits in labor court right now are huge.
Yeah.
Where employers in general, more so in the private sector, are watching, what they're paying people, and if the employees are being taken advantage of, they're heading to court really quick.
And they tend to win.
They do.
The employees.
Yeah, I mean, we wanna do the right thing for our employees
Right.
and for the taxpayers, so. So this is more clarification, this isn't new
Yes, it
policy
is.
for these guys. And they're both
They-
aware that this
oh,
is how they were
absolutely.
treated all summer,
Yes.
and, okay.
Yes.
I don't wanna go backwards and then them say, hey, I never thought this.
Right, no,
Okay.
they're well aware of it.
Okay. Okay, I got two other things. One, how much work would it be to come up with a list of grant money that we've gotten year to date?
Be all right,
I think that's important to know.
okay.
So if you could get that together for me, that'd be great.
Are there new grants on the horizon?
Well, there might be. I just learned about one today that maybe, Hamilton County Stormwater District just announced today that they have some grant money for storm
Okay.
issues, of which we have many. So our engineers already compiled our list, so we've gotta be the first ones in on this one.
Okay.
But however, last year apparently they said the same thing, and none of the communities have seen the money yet, but that's
Mm.
okay, maybe.
Keep trying, right?
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
keep trying, we could.
you guys have done a great job of looking for grants, getting some. I kind of like to quantify that, number one. Number two, I heard Dusty Rhodes speak very recently. The county's $14 million, but in a deficit situation for next year based on their projected revenues. They are just like us. They do not own a printing press. They cannot devalue the money, so they have to have a balanced budget. And so with the pressures on their head count, with their pressures on jail space, I'm anxious about what's going to be available going forward. And, you know, we've already seen cuts to local government fund, and
Mhm.
they're seeing that too at the county funding level, so. And then, just the, other comment, have we heard anything back on the budget from the county yet?
I received a letter saying that, our numbers would be, going to the meeting, I think it's September 9th, if I remember the date correctly, for approval. So then we'll wait on that meeting to occur, and then they'll let us know whether they're approved or if there's anything they wanna talk to us further about.
Okay.
I think it's September 9th.
Okay.
And that's another item in follow-up to that, once that's been accomplished and they've informed us, we then pass a resolution certifying the tax
The numbers that they
information
send to
that
us,
they
yeah.
send back to us. And I just mention it now because that too would have an emergency on it. Or be one of, that one might, I think that one does require an emergency, whatever. Anyway, just know that that's one that would need to be turned around. I'm gonna point that out from here on out, because we do not do that if we don't have to do it.
Right. Okay. I think that's all I got.
We did talk about, looking at how the taxes compare to other
Oh, yeah,
jurisdictions.
Jeff and I are gonna try to take a whack at, you know, we hear the comment, Greenhills has the highest taxes in Hamilton County. Well, we wonder whether that's true or not true. I don't, intuitively, I don't think it's true, but do we put numbers and services together?
We're concerned that apples and oranges are being compared. And if that's a worthy title, I have no problem saying it's true. But when we start comparing and other, places aren't including trash pickup or whatever.
Leaf
Leaf
pickup
collection,
or,
brush collection.
or if other communities also have an income tax, but it's on unearned income and it's on Social Security and it's on other things, then it's not apples to apples.
Got that right.
Yeah, and I've got a couple of thoughts about how to lay that out, etc. And I think one of the things that is important too is to segregate the village portion of the taxes from everything else. So if you live in the school district if you live in an area where the school district has the highest and the municipality has the lowest, everybody's gonna be the same for the county piece of it, of the property tax portion, then we don't wanna take credit for being in first place if we're not truly in first place with regards to other things, with regard to the municipal portion, so. Kim, anything that you wanna ask Jeff that you've always wanted to ask him?
I keep wanting to ask about her arm and I found out, so. Good news that she's okay, she's just got some repair time.
I have some healing time, but I'm okay.
That's a good thing, that's a good thing.
Okay. Yvonne, anything else for us? Anything you think we ought to be looking at carefully, closely, whatever?
That comes to mind.
Okay, and this fiscal year is not an audited year. We have an audit every other year, financial audit every other year, so the next financial audit will be in
Next year.
2013 for 11 and 12 fiscal years.
That's correct.
Okay. Is there anything we need to be doing from a prep standpoint for that, or is it way too soon?
I think that once we find out who is gonna do our audit, they will send us a prep list and then we'll start working. So I think we really just wait
Okay.
on the list to come from them, and then
Okay.
we can start preparing when they let us know what what they're gonna be after.
Okay.
And with Rita and everything else, we should be in a good place compared to
Yeah.
time past. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Hope so.
Yeah, my recollection from the last audit where there were 2 items they suggested go into an employee manual, and those 2 items are in that employee manual now, so.
Mhm.
Great. Right.
So we've addressed both of those recommendations.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. Good deal. If nothing else, I'll adjourn this meeting at 3:55.